Rob, let's get to when we thought this was going to be sort of the joke fight of the weekend in a way, right? I mean, even Magia Patrick Elote was more of a legitimate fight than Fury Otto Wallin, but it turned out to be the true marquee fight of Mexican Independence Day weekend. Surprisingly speaking, it became a back and forth fight, a close fight. I know people that listen to this show that I value their insight. They even scored for Otto Wallin, for God's sake. So this isn't. I don't agree with it, but I mean there are those people out there that said Wallin deserved to win, and he did not. And Fury obviously had another sort of humanoid growing on the side of his eye with those two cuts, and it was pretty horrendous to see, but also hilarious. And I obviously did the post fight show. I did it's not a live fight show, but post fight show. I chalked it up mainly due to Fury not expecting much from this fight, getting caught early with that left hand, cutting him open, and then the entire game sort of unraveling. On top of that, Wallin was durable for Fury because Fury's not the heaviest hitter, and he was tenacious. And that alone, I think, those three things in combination led to a surprisingly close fight and competitive fight between Fury and Wallin. Rob, your thoughts on what happened to Fury in this fight? Why was this fight so tough compared to Schwartz, Pinata, Safari, Pantera, whoever those other guys were? Why was this one?
Pantera, and a band.
It's a great band, by the way, classic, legendary. But why was this one different?
I don't know. I guess sometimes guys have an off night. Did he need to, in preparation for Wilder fight a southpaw? I don't know. Just seemed like an off night, and I think the cut just changed everything. That really did. And I don't know. I know in the past Fury's been accused of fighting to the level of his competition. Look, he went the distance with Pianetta, and went some rounds with Safari. And people was like, how the hell is he gonna not, get finished by Wilder in this fight? What is he doing, thinking of taking this fight? But he rose to the challenge of Wilder and pulled himself off the canvas after what seemed to be.
We're talking about Otto Wallin. Can you get to that, please?
I'm just saying. And
okay.
So he had to, with a bit of adversity with his cut and everything. And I think he, some way through the fight, realized, fucking hell, I'm in a bit deep here. This isn't the brush over that everyone's been telling me that this is. And I don't know, sometimes mid-fight, that's very hard to do. But he's had all since the announcement, people like, who the hell is this? I think now we need to maybe sort of take some kind of agreement that maybe we don't know somebody. That doesn't mean they're shit. And I think Wallin, despite maybe Fury not looking at his, peak and usual dancing around on his toes and flicking out a jab and that's partly down to Wallin's, like you say, he was tenacious. He seemed a tough guy, willing to try and really rough Fury up. We saw him trying to rip that cut open a bit more with the the side of the glove and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. Off night, I don't know whether Fury was up for it or what, but it seems like that red carpet that's been rolled out for him, all these crazy entrances and you're our star and this, that, and the other.
That entrance was insane.
Suddenly you're in a fucking fight, and he had to dig deep a little bit, and no one expected it. But yeah, Wallin, he came to fight. So
definitely came to fight. I will say this though, I don't think that we can be of the mindset that Otto Wallin is now a surprise sleeper top 10 heavyweight yet. It's impossible to say that. I didn't say you said that. I didn't say you said that. When I said we, I just mean like we as a community, like just as a fan base. I think that's way too soon to jump to that conclusion. I made some comparisons and jokes about how he is our new Swedish Jeff Horn. He just didn't get the win, but I'm holding off on any real hard opinions about Otto, to be quite honest, because before this he fought relatively no one, and he didn't look that great. Also on the regional scene, on top of it, Fury's the type of guy that, I said this a little bit in the post-fight show, he is the one guy in the very top elite mix of the heavyweight division that is the most susceptible to losing to these type of guys. Because A, doesn't really have the power. B, he kind of just fucks off in fights. We know, like, he just loses focus. He doesn't really throw combinations. He doesn't really stick to a game plan. He kind of just goes in there and does what he does, in my opinion. And again, attached with the power factor, the lack thereof in the heavyweight division, it's going to mean these tough, tenacious guys that are maybe, slightly above average athletes are going to give him some work, when for the other heavyweights, their power is going to save them in these fights.
And
Wilder, for example, where his technique is not the greatest and he struggles with subpar guys, his power saves him in those fights.
Yeah, I was going to say on Wilder, I think that showed that he was trying to box. He was trying to box with Fury, and that's I don't know any kind of game plan. If he goes out to try and Stavern Fury, I think that's a better tactic.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I didn't get the jump.
He almost in the first fight tried to box with Fury, like keeping it long and.
Well, even if you go back, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. But like Chisora fights, if you go back and watch those, like the moments where Chisora had success is when he was in close and he was rushing and pressuring Fury. Fury does not do well under pressure. If you box with him, he will be able to dictate the pace and the range, because you just slip shots, circle out, throw a jab, maybe a right hand counter, pull back counter, whatever it is, and he'll just he'll stay in that lane. He'll stay at that pace for 12 rounds, and he'll win you in a points battle. But if you pressure him, his game does fall apart because he doesn't throw back in combination, and he doesn't have the power to really stop you with a single shot. There were shots where I thought he would hurt Otto. Like there were shots where he would land a right hand or land a left hook. I'm like, ooh, that was a good shot, or that was a good combination. Maybe Otto Wallin is hurt here. And no, not really. Otto just would eat it and then keep walking forward, right?
He hurt into the body a couple of times, I think. But
definitely to the body.
He never really jumped on it. It doesn't then seem to, right, he's hurt. Let's go, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into this, because I just feel it was an off night in a guy that he potentially wasn't particularly up for. And it took a nasty cut and realizing, holy shit, this guy's come to fight, for him to really try and switch himself on. And as you know, if that can neither not happen during a fight, you cannot switch yourself back on once you're in that mindset, or it takes, some real, I don't know, just takes some doing to switch on mid-fight and go, right, this is actually serious. This isn't an exhibition. This isn't the guy that I've been told is coming for a check and here to lay down. And he had to dig pretty deep, which no one expected. And like I say, that's credit to Wallin, and I think possibly down to Fury's sort of mindset going into the fight.
And I will add, I definitely agree with you on both parts. I agree that I will add that the second part you made about Fury sort of not expecting this is a massive factor in this fight. But also, guys, we really overrate Tyson Fury. I know we don't want to have that conversation, and it's maybe too soon to have that conversation just because it's, one fight right now that's been really bad. But to be honest, look at his career. Look at the wins he has. How good did he look in those wins? The Chisora fight, Steve Cunningham, Joey Abel, for God's sake. Who else? Christian Hammer. Those are his big wins. Kevin Johnson. Those are his notable wins before he fought Vladimir Klitschko. And the Vladimir Klitschko fight was one of the worst heavyweight title fights I have ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of that, he is then known for outboxing who I think we can all agree, guys, is one of the worst technical boxers of the heavyweight championship class of the 21st century in Deontay Wilder. He is quite efficient in what he does. I made that point before. But Deontay Wilder is not a technical boxer. So Tyson Fury outboxing him doesn't mean much to me. And I feel like there's a cognitive dissonance with Wilder haters and UK fans with how they perceive that fight. And on top of it, again, combine it with who he has beaten in his career, really only Derek Chisora, and a really bad, ugly fight with Vladimir Klitschko, where Klitschko had no game plan for Tyson Fury, clearly. And some wins against, I don't know if you even call them regional guys like Steve Cunningham, Christian Hammer, guys that are, a little bit above regional, but they're not really elite level. They're not top 15 guys in any shape or form. I think there is we look at Fury and we compare him to the rest of the heavyweight division and go, man, his footwork is so much better than the average. His timing is so much better than the average. His head movement is so much better than the average. But that doesn't mean that he is some reincarnation of Muhammad Ali. He isn't. His wins don't prove that. The way he has looked in his wins don't prove that. And then, and the ESPN top-ranked machine has fully sold him as that, the reincarnation of Ali. And he's far from that. We overrate him. We rate him from a awful win against Klitschko, a fading Klitschko, and a draw against one of the worst technical boxers that's been a champion that we can remember.
Yeah, but admittedly, it's the worst technical boxer in history that has managed to knock everybody out despite all his flaws.
Yeah, but of course, but then, Rob, you're the same group of people that then look at that resume and go, 40 bums. Luis Ortiz, he's 50 years old. Bermain Stavern, who's Bermain Stavern? Like, you're the same group of people that then... Sorry. I didn't know you were jumping in there.
No, I just mean, despite his flaws, he's managed to knock 40 grown men clean out. He's stuck. You know what I mean? But he's found a way. Just like Tyson had to find a way, but he managed to avoid. Although borderline, he got up in that 12th round. But I don't know. It's just, to me, this isn't an indication for like the rematch with Wilder. I don't see that I've seen millions of them today. Well, maybe not millions, but a lot of people saying.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that, Rob. Hold on.
Okay,
I'll get to that because you know me.
I know you're getting to that, yeah.
And maybe I fully believe it, but I'm at least going to argue this point. And I'll get to it in a second though, because Ellie in the chat is, I think, phrasing it maybe better than I am, and sort of in the middle of where we are at. Outboxing Wilder is not hard. Evading him for 12 rounds is. Like I said, Wilder is one of the worst technical boxers that's been a champion in recent memory, but his power is bar none, right? Like, there's been very few guys in the last 20-some-odd years that have had the power like Deontay Wilder, so that gets him out of his performances. Like I've said, against guys that don't belong in the equation of top 15 heavyweights. He has struggled with, but he gets out of it with power. So, outboxing him doesn't mean much. Does evading his power for 12 rounds mean something? Yes, but Fury also got knocked down twice. You know what I mean? Yes, did he get up from that power, but he also got knocked down, so like that did hurt him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even say that he evaded the power because the power did affect Fury in 2 specific rounds that cost him the fight. Because if Fury doesn't get knocked down in one of those rounds, guess what? Fury wins the decision. So he didn't invade the power. So, yeah, he outboxed Wilder, which isn't surprising, but he didn't really even invade the power. So, like, again, like, Fury couldn't even evade Otto Wallin's left hook. Like, Fury is overrated drastically. And it's just obvious at this point. And it's mainly due to the heavyweight division on a whole. And I know maybe Gary might be listening because he's made this point a lot. That the heavyweight division isn't that great, and maybe it's been sold as a bill of goods that it just isn't. You know what I mean? That all these guys in the top 10, 15 are marginally pretty close to each other, and they aren't even that, let's say, transcending and that great. They're big because they're marketable right now. They all are, right? But that's beside the point of being skilled, talented, elite, all-time great status. I don't know if any of these guys are an all-time great yet. I think it's hard to say that at this point because each guy has been looking kind of bad lately,
Yeah, yeah.
right? All the top heavyweights.
Yeah, I know. We're in our era, and we're looking at them, but comparing them to, you know, past Hall of Famers and which of these guys will be future, like first ballot or whatever. I don't know. We need to see they need to end their career first. See what they, you know what I mean. You can maybe look at certain fighters that are current and already what their accomplishments are, but to put, god damn,
Sorry.
it's usually me doing that shit.
Sorry. But
Um,
quick, I want to clarify my point before you jump in. Because 92 is saying, OMG, everyone is overrated then. I understand that I'm comparing them to the rating of what ESPN has been rating Fury, or what, let's say, PBC has been rating Wilder, or Matchroom or Sky has been rating AJ. That's what I'm comparing it to, 92. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they have been saying that these guys are the reincarnation of Mike Tyson, reincarnation of Muhammad Ali, reincarnation of Lennox Lewis, give or take names. I think they haven't proven that yet. And for these networks to say it, yes, they are overrated. Absolutely. Just like it would be overrated for someone to say like Earl Spence is like the new Sugar Ray Leonard or something like that. Like, you'd just be like, no, what do you... But no, stop saying that. You don't need to compare them to them yet. They're not there yet. And that's, I think, what I'm trying to say. And I hope that better states my opinion. Rob, back to you.
Yeah, no, I get you. And like, where is it? Anonymous in the chat. Klitschko win, never defended any titles, stripped, banned, retired, comeback fights, fights Dossers, still claiming to be number one. Get the fuck out of there. I totally get it. Look, like you say, he's at times flattered to deceive, and he's a character. He's talking hellish shit, but at the end of the day, he, in a lot of people's eyes, beat the biggest puncher in the, like Ellie said. It's one thing to outbox, but to avoid those bombs is another thing.
But he didn't avoid it. He got knocked down twice, and that cost him the win. He didn't get knocked out, but he got knocked down twice, and that affected the decision.
Yeah, no, I get you, but like I said, despite that, we know what happened, and most people think Fury won that fight.
Yeah, but I don't think that. So, like, you can say
you're not most people.
But he didn't win. He got a draw. Like,
I know what it says on BoxRec. I know what
it's not just the box rec. It's he got knocked down twice. Like, you're saying that he'd evaded the power, but he literally did not.
He got landed on twice. Then
are you saying that Wilder only landed 2 punches? Is that what you're saying or he only knocked him down twice?
2 significant punches. He didn't particularly do much else, right?
No, yeah, I would say he did. You think? Wait, are we only saying that he won 2 rounds, guys? Like, is that really what we're gonna say here? That Wilder only won 2 rounds?
Maybe 3.
All right, guys, that's fine. I mean, you guys can make that opinion. It's just a bad opinion because it's a very biased one. It's clearly clouded with some bias there. If you're saying that Wilder only won 2 rounds,
I'm just poking the bear. Chill out.
I know. Hey, this is just a fun show for me. I'm having fun. Fury looked like shit. He had a growing like another eye out of his eye. Okay, it was amazing.
I don't know why you were so happy that happened.
Because I have been saying for some time now that Fury has been overrated, that Fury is a fraud, that Fury has been built up to something that he is not. And I like when people that are being built into something they're not get their just due. Just being honest.
Shame. Such a negative view on the world. But
karma, bitch.
Yeah. Very quickly, I've seen a tweet. Did anyone else see see Warren giving Tyson Fury the look when Tyson gave a shout out to ESPN and Top Rank without mentioning Queensbury or Frank Warren? Allegedly, this is the last fight of Fury's Queensbury contract. So I don't know what's going to go on there, but I can't see Frank wanting to part ways with a potential Wilder Fury pay-per-view around the corner.
Well, he may not have a choice.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
it's contract over, but I'm sure he'll be doing what he can to still be part of the Fury business. But yeah, crazy night. Started off with the sombrero and the singing and
That
being
walkout was trash.
down on some kind of parade float or whatever it was. But goddamn, but yeah, it was quite something to see Tyson Fury. His shorts just blooded. I mean that the cut was the two cuts. I don't know if people have seen the reports, but 47 stitches have apparently gone in. That's that's nasty. But yeah, for me, an off night, not something to judge going forward as to. Yeah, I know you're only as good as your last performance, they say, but
No, remember,
off nights.
I don't think it's necessarily an off night. I would say look back on his other wins, because there's other fights like especially pre-Klitschko guys. Like look before then, because I think a lot of us had a weird perception of of Fury, like immediately after that Klitschko fight. It was weird. Like the perception of him drastically shifted. He was the guy that people made fun of for punching himself in the face mid-fight.
Batman costumes and.
But even before that, right? When the famous GIF of him punching himself.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what he was known for, guys. Like he was known for in that one clip. Who was he talking about? David Price.
Price and Bellew.
Yes, and it was on like Dave TV or something like that. It was on like free TV. I want to say like where's
free UK TV.
Yeah. That was just awesome, right? Like that's what he was known for. He wasn't known to be the greatest boxer ever. He was known to be the next Ali. You had some people maybe in the industry that said that, but he's never actually proven that. And that's my point. And even the wins that we look back and go, oh, those were some of his notable wins. Again, Chisora, Hammer, Steve Cunningham, Klitschko. Like you go look at his wins.
I think he's the only guy to make Chisora quit on his stall.
Cool.
I'm just saying. But no, I know what people. I sort of have the same sort of feelings. I've never.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I apologize, but I'm not saying Fury is trash. I'm not saying Fury is a bum. I'm not saying that. Fury is clearly a top 4 heavyweight, but what he is being sold by or sold as by ESPN isn't true. That is clear as day. Otherwise, he'd be fighting better opposition.
Yeah, I mean, look, Wilder's come out and said he's still concussed from when he fought me. He's still, he's got a concussion. I can't wait to fight him. This, that, and the other, which is fine. I can understand that having watched that. Like, who's this Otto guy?
Now, since you mentioned,
Ottawa, as I've seen other podcasts call him constantly for the whole fight week.
Since you mentioned Wilder, I forgot we were going to talk about that. Does this fight indicate that Wilder should win the rematch? Right, that's been a talking point. That's been just ranted about, right, by the public, so to speak. I'll say this. Not necessarily, because like I said, I think Fury's always been this. This isn't new, guys. I think people just are new fans of the sport, to be honest. I think there's a lot of new listeners of the sport, or a lot of new listeners to our show that aren't aware. Like our old school listeners, that they're with me on this kind of. They may not be fully with me on this, but they're kind of with me. They kind of understand what I mean.
Are they the PBC ones?
With the new fans?
No, the old school ones.
No, like Lunatic has
the ones that are riding with you.
No, I think Lunatic, Ellie. I think you've all sort of partially agree with me, at least in some aspect. I think BK has in some aspect as well. Like there's been some long-time listeners that understand my point. I think also see what I'm saying. I forgot my train of thought now because Wilder. Does this now mean he can beat Fury? Not so much. Now the cut though, that is a factor. If the fight is in February, that it is short enough of a timetable where the cut will not be fully healed, And then even at this point, when you have that type of cut, those two type of cuts on his eyes, or eye, because it's just two cuts on one eye, those don't ever really heal up perfectly. Like, they're now more susceptible to getting cut. However, Otto Wallin is a southpaw. So, like, the strong hand, the powerful hand was the one that was doing the damage. With Wilder, is his jab or left hook going to be the one to open that cut? I don't know. That means he's going to have to throw those punches a lot, though, right? If
Yeah,
that's going to be a target now and some sort of part of the game plan and strategy of the rematch, then you would have to throw a lot of jabs, have to throw a lot of left hooks, because your right hand isn't going to hit that eye, just from the physics of your punch, where it's coming from, and where Fury is going to dip to. You know what I mean? So, yes, is it going to be a factor? Could this fight play into Wilder winning the rematch? Absolutely. But it's going to be difficult because Wilder isn't a southpaw like Otto Wallin. And that probably is just the pure point of it. I know there are others that say, oh, Fury is now trash, therefore Wilder's going to beat him. But I would say this, Fury has always been overrated comparative to what the networks has sold him as. And I think Wilder's always been Wilder's always the type of guy that he can beat these top heavyweights because of the power. He's going to get outboxed by Fury, Andy Ruiz, AJ. Hell, Dylan White could probably outbox him. Joe Miller could probably outbox him. Like, there are a lot of guys that could probably outbox Deontay Wilder, right, Rob? But the power should at least make it competitive or make it so where he could win these fights. So,
the equalizer, right?
yeah,
What he lacks in technique, he makes up for
absolutely.
more than makes up for in power.
So I don't think really this is going to be this fight isn't an indicator of how the rematch is going to go. But could it be a factor due to the cuts? Yes, but it would have to be from a lot of jabs and left hooks from Wilder, which he doesn't really throw enough of, in my opinion, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. Seeing people in the chat, Wilder can 100% win the rematch.
He almost did the first fight, for God's sake.
He was about a second from winning it the first time around, right? But and in my opinion, he had to do that in the 12th round because he was behind on the card. So, yeah, but let's not use this fight where I believe Fury potentially took things a little, for granted. It was then the cut, and that just changed the whole thing because that was a nasty cut. And I think Ben Davison said if he was any less of a fighter, that would have been more of an issue than it was. Sort of experience and maybe Tyson's levels of skill maybe got away with it regarding that cut, because that was horrific. And I mean, I've seen fights stopped for less than that, but yeah, Wilder can 100% win the rematch. Fury can 100% win the rematch, and I'm just not going to use this as a barometer to make my pick. I guess it will always be in the back of your mind when you are thinking like who's going to win the next one. You're going to sort of think, he didn't look that great, but I wouldn't say he looked fantastic against Pianetta, going the distance with Pianetta. And I didn't expect the performance that we got from Fury in the first Wilder fight. So I think Wilder's just one of those guys that fights to the level of his competition sometimes. And to get the best out of Fury, you need to be in with the best or have that. I think Fury knew that Wilder fucking comes with a huge punch, and he had to be on point. He nearly did it. In the 9th and the 12th, the big bomb kind of landed, and he had to pick himself up off the floor to get through it. But other than that, he did avoid a lot, made Wilder miss a lot, and he had to be on point because of the dangers that he knew Wilder possessed. So I think we'll see a different Fury in the rematch, but for sure, both guys can still come away with the win.
92 Aku in the chat, longtime listener, asked me who do I rank as the top heavyweight right now. I think it's Andy Ruiz, obviously, because he beat the guy that, in my opinion, was the guy in AJ. Had all the belts, had the better resume out of anyone at that time, Andy is clearly the guy right now. Deontay Wilder number 2, AJ number 3, and Tyson Fury number 4. Clear as day, guys. It's not that hard. If you disagree with that, then you're just biased.
All right.
Just,
Yeah. Number one heavyweight. I don't know. It's yeah. It's anyone's opinion. It's your list. It's your top 4. How you put them in the order. There's, I guess, cases to be made for who you've got at number 1, but yeah, I don't know.
So are you gonna?
I think on their day, all 4 can beat all 4.
Nah, come on. No, right now, today. Today's Sunday. Today's Sunday. Okay, today's Sunday, September what? The 15th? No. Yes. Okay, let's hear what is today's top 4 in the heavyweight division. Get off the fence, foo.
I'll go for the likely next opponent for Otto Wallin, Daniel Dubois. No, I'll do the 4 that we've got. I'll put them in order. I think
it's okay to agree with mine too, Rob. It's okay. I know you don't want to because I can't have the same list.
I think we can put Ruiz at 1. For me, Fury. For me, Joshua was the number 1, and he got his ass kicked by.
His ass kicked. Whoa, Robert.
Oh, didn't he?
Yo, don't let Eddie hear you say that, man. You may not be allowed back at the family reunion, man.
You can get your ass kicked by a lucky punch. All right, that's perfectly.
That happened 4 different rounds.
No, the one that.
Four different times. Not 4 different rounds.
No, the lucky punch is the one that he didn't recover from. The other ones.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Stop. Keep going. Okay, I want to hear this top 4. AJ number 2. Let me hear it. Come on.
AJ number 2.
Oh my god!
No, you just said it. You just made me. No, you just made me follow. I didn't even say what number 2.
Oh, okay. That's not your number 2.
I'll go a joint second.
No, you can't do it. No.
All right. Yeah, on current form, Ruiz, Wilder, Joshua, Fury. You can't. I don't know. Fury hasn't lost, but who's he fighting? I don't know. It's tricky.
Are you? Because Fury is the one you're kind of. The Fury is the one that you're iffy on, right? Are you thinking about putting someone else in that top 4 other than Fury right now today?
I don't know. Dillian White, I think, is somewhere in there, but is it just the top 5 instead of a 4? I don't know. It's hard, man. I think, like I said, I think they can all beat each other. I really do.
Okay, interesting.
I can see Tyson Fury turning up the way he did last night. I think Dillian White knocks him clean out.
Hell, I mean, I think a lot of guys beat him up, right?
Well,
I think Big Baby beats him up. Hell.
But do we get that?
Chisora in the trilogy fight could beat him up. Joseph Parker could beat him up. His cousin could beat him up. Like a lot of people could beat him up on that given night.
I mean, I did give the caveat of that Fury, but would it be that Fury if it was that opponent in with him? That's my only thought. I think he fights to the level of his competition. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's hard to group these guys because I really do feel they can all beat each other on their day.
I do get that point, but. Get off that fence, Fugatti 2.0.
It's my fence.
Moving on, because we've been talking about, oh my God, this topic for a very long time. Wow.
Well, the lineal champion deserves.
Wow. Okay, so we just need to move on. Emmanuel Navarre won. He looked fantastic against Juan Miguel Elorde. Pedraza lost against Jose Cepeda. Shocking, but if you've been watching Pedraza, especially his last fight, he didn't look too good. So it's not surprising.
You picked Cepeda? Didn't you?
I don't think I picked Zapata, but I was like, look, this is one of those fights where you could pick Zapata. I don't think I made a pick, to be honest.
Did Gary pick Zapata?
I think Gary did. Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, you got one right. Yeah, I've since seen Navarrete. I think, yeah, he's
looking good.
He's trouble for that division, you know.
He's just so long, and the way he flows his combinations together, and then on top of that, each punch is so powerful, and it doesn't look like it. They got some pop on them. You don't think they do because the way he punches, he's kind of like Triple G, where they
Mhm.
don't look like they're doing much damage, but they are. Like every time he lands, it's doing damage.
They've got a good potential if Shakur Stevenson claims a featherweight title
Oh, him move up.
and he moves up to 'cause he's a big guy.
Ooh.
Big guy.
I would take that fight because you're right. He is a really big guy for that division. I've always been thinking that he might be moving up, especially since the
It's only
rest.
4 pounds, right?
Yeah, and especially since the other guys that are champions are the zone guys. They're not over on his side of the block, so to speak.
Yeah, but ESPN DAZN. Does Bob want to go and roll the dice again to take a DAZN bout and take it back to ESPN? Maybe.
Yeah, he could, but I think
In a-
in his
Sorry.
mind, a fight with Shakur would add more value for his
Oh yeah,
brand. I think
yeah,
in his mind.
yeah. You get to keep the money, right?
Absolutely. But on top of that, Shakur is the bigger name of anyone that we're mentioning. Ray Vargas, Daniel Rahman, even Gamma Rigondeaux in a way. Like, I don't know if Gamma Rigondeaux is the draw that he was 2 or 3 years ago. He hasn't headlined since then, so it's hard to tell what his gauge of a drawing power is, to be quite honest. So I don't know. But Carlos Quadras picked up a much-needed win after some, trading losses and wins, losses, losses, wins, wins, losses. He's needed a win, and he got one. Gabriel Flores Jr. also picked up a win. Moving on, though. Actually, hold on. We're going to stay on this topic slightly. Because Ben Davison and John Fury had a little bit of a tiff, a kerfuffle online, as they say. John Fury, quote, "If I had my say, the lot would be gone. If he keeps hold of that team, they're going to cost him his career. I'll say it live on TV. The team around him now, Ben Davison, mentioned by name. He's got in charge of the business. He needs to have a look in the mirror." Then Ben Davison replies, he's had a tough fight, which clearly won after being cut terribly. Not only one, but two cuts. Sometimes you can't win. Now, Robert,
Yes.
thoughts on the internal beef in the Fury family and team?
I don't know. I see a lot of like Fury fans and saying Ben Davison, all he's done is get Fury fit again. He doesn't bring anything to the table regarding trainer wise as fight tactics and corner work. But I don't know. Watching some of the mic'd up stuff from the Wilder and Fury, he seems to be, in my opinion, he says the right things. He sounds like he knows what he's doing, and I don't know. I think it's a little unfair of John Fury to say, but then I've seen plenty of people say, "Look, John Fury knows his stuff. What does Ben know at what was it, 24, something like that?" I think it's not. I think John Fury said these things on BT Sport during the broadcast. He was on BT, and he said these things. I don't think that's necessarily the right place to do that, and to cause all this to be sort of public. It's completely up to Tyson what he does with his career and who he has in his in his team. And like I say, I don't think it's a good look from
No, I don't think so either.
John to come out and say those kind of things and bring Ben out to try and defend himself and defend his son's performance. Of course, John can come out and say that Tyson looked terrible because he did. So it's perfectly fine analysis, but to then go there with he needs to get rid of his team and the Ben Davison stuff, I think that's a bit out of order, personally.
Not surprising, though. I will add that, but I agree on all points.
No, if you want to ask a Fury a question, you're going to get some kind of answer.
And John Fury, and just like you think, like Tyson Fury and like Tommy Fury and Huey Fury are like a difficult crew. That generation before them, just read up on them. Read up on some of the stories.